Did you start recording?
Oh yeah. You go when you're ready.
He's gonna edit us out.
I want to give this plenty of time so that you have something to cut out. So you actually do some work.
Wow.
Because
I'm keeping this in then.
I'm gonna not only am I writing this, I'm also gonna host this week. I went to the show. What do you guys do? Why are you here?
We're
the only two people you talk to. Thank you.
Don't cut this out. Actually, leave this in. This is one of the more important parts of the show. Hey guys, welcome to the Bottom Line Podcast, where me and my friend and my brother talk about wrestling. I go to the shows, I write the script, and I hop on here and I host.
I edit the videos.
You guys just here as tree ornaments to give me poor opinion about The Rock. So, hey, big week this week. Had a really great Royal Rumble that I have some opinions on, and I know these two want to share as well. And looking forward to sharing it with you guys. So we'll go ahead and get started. And I had the blessing of actually being at this show. And just before we get started, I know, make the face. I saw your face, Will. That's all right. I tried to get you to go for the record for everybody paying attention.
I ain't jealous. Don't worry, we'll get into why I ain't jealous.
Yeah, that's okay. Well, you should be, because it was the greatest Royal Rumble of all time. All right.
Wouldn't go there.
So great show. It was in Indianapolis and Lucas Oil Stadium. Really great stadium. And I'll talk a little bit more about that as we go through the show. But this one was special. I felt like this Royal Rumble was really, really stacked, had a ton of talent, and I think the actual card was lined out in a great way. So opened the show with the Women's Royal Rumble, a solid match to start on. Kind of figured we would start with the Women's Royal Rumble. Started with Io Sky and Liv Morgan and progressed from there. We had some really great returns. We saw Trish Stratus and Nikki Bella. And then I would say probably the biggest return in Alexa Bliss. So really interested to hear what you guys' take on the Women's Royal Rumble match was. Do you guys feel great about the returns? How do we feel about Charlotte being announced before the Royal Rumble and then turning out to be the winner, which I would say was probably a little predictable? And do we feel like this set us up for a great road to WrestleMania?
Just to start at the start of the match, I think you couldn't have picked two better workers in the company to start the Royal Rumble for the women. I think Io and Liv probably have earned this slot to be featured the longest. And they put on a show throughout their time in, so I want to give a shout out to them first. Having seen the Rumble and knowing what the plan was, I do not like announcing Charlotte before. I do not like all the video packages, because it seems like they had nothing up their sleeve. And at the last minute on Saturday morning, they finally got something up their sleeve and sent a private plane to pick Alexa Bliss up. So they had nothing, by the way. They had nothing for us as a real surprise. And so knowing that, you should have just hated Charlotte entirely. In my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah. I think the returns were nice. I don't hate Nikki Bella coming back. It was good. But AJ though. AJ needed to be there, but I understand why she couldn't.
What if she says no?
I mean, right? That's a complete possibility, of course.
All of these expectations surround one simple phone call that we know Triple H made. Yeah. I think we know him well enough by now to know he picked up the phone and made the call. And I think it was no, or they've got something better planned or something different planned. And we'll discuss whether it's better or not when it happens. But
maybe a secret elimination chamber entry.
Possible.
I really liked the surprise entrance, right? I think with Alexa, the internet wrestling community had pretty much determined she wasn't going to be in the match. I know that Nikki Bella gets a lot of hate, and they probably look at Nikki Bella and think, hey, she's the quintessential diva from back during the diva times. But it was great to see her. Trish Stratus is always a welcome addition. And then we even got some others like Jordan Grace, who comes from TNA.
He was fantastic
with WWE and is a great wrestler. I'll tell you guys, look, And my perspective may be a little different because I was in the building, so there's a little more hype in the building than maybe sitting on the couch at home. But I felt like the match landed really, really well with the crowd. There were some really great spots. I think there was a few spots where we got to see some unique interactions. Charlotte interacting with some of the NXT gals, and then we had a cool spot where kind of the horsewomen kind of went up against the new school.
Two of the horsewomen.
But there were some spots I didn't like. I'll tell you one I hate to see coming, and it seems like they do it inevitably in any match where Nia Jax is in the ring with more than one person. She gets piled on and then magically becomes Superwoman and throws all of them across the ring. That one's kind of lame. You know,
she eliminated like 7 girls a minute later, and I wanted to scream at my TV.
Well, that's the other segment, right? So we did have the mass elimination where we lost the likes of Trish Stratus, Bianca Belair, Raquel.
It wasn't a bunch of NXT girls. Like, if it's a bunch of NXT girls she throws out, maybe I'm not as angry. But I mean, like you said, Bianca Belair, Trish Stratus, like, what are we doing?
Here's where the issue comes in for me, and I wonder if you guys agree. The Royal Rumble is more than just who's going to main event WrestleMania. You also use these eliminations and these spots and these matches to set up storylines, right? Whether it's WrestleMania or later. But you can have these moments where somebody's eliminated, it's impactful, and it creates a story for later down the line. Now, we had this moment where we eliminate half the women in the ring. Most of them are top-tier stars, if not main eventers.
Good talent.
And that was terrible. Yeah, I agree. I think it was bad. And look, I'm not going to completely hate on Nia Jax. I'm going to give one positive for Nia Jax because I do think she's been getting better. The only problem is the only positive I'm going to give you guys was not on camera. So after she got eliminated, at some point she ends up on a golf cart and they're driving her through the crowd. You guys didn't see this on TV, but they were booing the ever-loving daylights out of her. I mean, you could hear where the cart was going, the boos. And she's just flipping the whole crowd off. It was hilarious. It might be her best moment in wrestling, and they didn't capture it on television.
That's great.
So just to give her a shout out, I will say, look, hey, they announced Charlotte Flair, and I'll plug a funny moment here. When she came out, and I think a lot of people have said this, I've heard this around the internet, but in the moment, when she came out and her pyro went off, I looked over at the guy next to me. We kind of met and became friends during the show. And we went, oh, she's the only person that walked out here with pyro. She's going to win. So, like, there's a lot of, I mean, there's just a lot of telegraphing. I mean, genuinely, that's what we thought. And we were right. And we laughed after we won. Because she was the only one that walked out for the women's Royal Rumble that had any kind of pyrotechnics. So,
wow,
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I didn't think about that either.
Yeah, walked all the way down. She's trying to undo her neck piece the whole time, which you could tell she was really, really struggling with. And she
they cut away from it on the broadcast at one point.
They did. In the stadium, she continued to struggle with it, and I believe if what I saw was correct, she ended up tearing it off because that was all she could do. But ultimately, for me, I think it was a above average Royal Rumble match. It was well wrestled. There wasn't a ton of botches. Way too predictable, and maybe for me it's a little elevated because that was actually my first Royal Rumble match that I've ever seen in person. So,
so you guys wanted Charlotte to win? Like, you guys are okay with this?
I mean, given who we had in it, was there a realistic other
Not
winner?
Necessarily. I mean, I couldn't tell you who I wanted to win.
I mean, you could make a case for Alexa Bliss, but I mean,
She
given
just
that
got
she showed
back,
up like 3 hours before the show started, like,
there are definitely a lot of other women that deserved it more than her, for sure.
Here's what I would say: the reaction to Alexa Bliss coming back was way more favorable than Charlotte Flair. We'll talk
and she's going to get cheered on SmackDown.
If I could change 2 things, I would have had Alexa win, and I would have had Alexa come out at 30.
Yeah.
because I think Nikki Bella coming out at 30 was a disappointment. Everybody was wanting AJ, but had Nikki come out at 30, I think that would have tempered the disappointment way better, and she still would have got a great reaction. And then you can have Charlotte go to the Elimination Chamber, earn that spot, maybe take some serious bumps and get a little banged up, and maybe the crowd would respect that win a little more, right? Getting to see her waltz straight in. This is literally her first time back on WWE TV, other than a filmed promo that was staged. Her first time back live, and she walks out and wins the Royal Rumble. I think it rubs people the wrong way, and it rubs me the wrong way. And we'll talk again.
She's done it before. Is the real problem here?
Yeah, we'll talk a little more about it at Raw and the crowd's reaction. But that was the reaction that she got at the Royal Rumble. We all kind of rolled our eyes and went, "Okay, here's Charlotte Flair. She wins everything, right? Especially when she comes back." So
I will say, in defense of Nikki Bella, of all the Divas era divas, she feels like the one that can keep up in this era the most.
For sure.
She improved the most in the ring. She's the best among all of them. So while I think the crowd will probably end up, she'll end up like Charlotte and be a heel, but I think she'll be able to keep up with the girls in the run because she seems like she's sticking around.
Yeah. She performed well. I don't think she was in the Rumble long, couple of minutes. Eliminated not too long after that, but yeah, I would agree with you. And the crowd wasn't angry that she was back. There was actually some positivity, but it was definitely stymied a little bit by the disappointment that AJ wasn't there. I will say this one thing we need to watch. It's a trend with the Triple H Rumbles. 30 is becoming a problem for Triple H. He has a bad habit of letting the surprise come out earlier, and 30 always falls flat. And I know it feels like they feel like it's too predictable to have the surprise be 30. But like you say, if Alexa Bliss comes out at 30, even if the crowd is expecting AJ Lee or Becky Lynch, she's still going to get that same pop she got. Yeah. I actually think it would have even elevated a little more, because if we would have waited to 30 for Alexa, we would have the fear would have crept in our mind.
Yeah, we don't
is she actually coming out? Right? Like, we actually getting her. We can think of 20 other people now that could be at 30. That's not Alexa. So may have even gave her a better reaction. But all in all, I thought it was a solid match. Definitely could have been less predictable. With the amount of talent we have in the women's division, I would like to see it be less predictable in future years. But nonetheless, Charlotte is the winner, and she's headed to WrestleMania to main event against Rhea and or Tiffany Stratton. So we'll see who she picks.
Since it is PLE, give us your numbers.
That's right. Very good. Nathan, you're first.
Overall, it was a very good Rumble match. There were a lot of spots that were very good. Ending, kind of whatever. But I'm going to give it a solid 6. I think that's a fair number. It's 5 being, of course, good. 6 being just a little bit better than good. And I think that's what this match was. Ending, not so much fall flat. Charlotte, I could care less if Charlotte won. It was predictable, of course. But that's my number.
Will?
Yeah, I'm going to go with 6 too. I think the ending plus the 2 Nia Jax spots take it at least a point or 2 off for me.
Yeah. And just for reference for everybody, on our scale, 5 would be considered average, right? And so if you go above 5, 6 is considered slightly above average. For me, it's going to be a 7. And I think I'm maybe a little skewed from having actually been in the stadium. And the excitement of it being the first Rumble match I've seen in person probably elevated it a little bit. And I really think that a lot of the spots did land. They were exciting.
They did.
Other than the Nia Jax stuff, which I think she redeemed with the live crowd by kind of flipping us off as she left. But yeah, I would give it a 7. But overall, not super spectacular, not anything we're going to frame and put up on the wall, but a solid all. Moving on down the card, next up was Motor City Machine Guns taking on DIY in a best 2 out of 3 falls match.
What a wild,
one of those ones, especially headed into the match. I think everybody was questioning a little bit. Does it deserve the place that it has on the card? Right. This is one of the biggest events that WWE has ever put on.
One of the big
Funny
four.
enough, it's ranks 3 in overall live attendance behind WrestleMania 40 night 1 and night 2 in total attendance. There was, from what WWE recorded, 70,000 people in the stadium, and it looked like it, right? From being in there, there was not many seats that were empty. So to say that,
for a while.
yeah, we put this so we take this tag match and we put it here, and I think, just for general perspective, I think these guys earned the spot, but that doesn't mean that you can stick them in front of 70,000 people and they're going to hold the attention they should hold. So do we feel like it was impactful? Do we feel like the results drew any attention? And also, I think at the end we had our Street Profits come out and interfere or take shots at both tag teams that competed in this match. And do we feel like that leads to any kind of interesting storyline?
For the record, I like a lot of the talent involved here. I think there are a lot of good wrestlers that were involved here. But out of the Triple H pay-per-views, of all the matches on all the Triple H pay-per-views, this has to be near the bottom.
Dude, it felt like a Raw match on a PLE. Like it was not good.
Like from the couch perspective, like the crowd was dead. At least from
you almost question.
My angle.
You almost question if you were even watching the Royal Rumble and not not a review.
This felt like a random
Raw.
8:00 match on Raw. Yeah, like, and then to have it end with the Street Profits, and like, I like the Street Profits, but with a DQ, you have 2 actual wrestling matches on this card, and you finish one like that.
It's garbage.
No,
not a good finish.
This was bad.
I do think it had good spots in it, though. I mean, all of them were fairly great wrestlers, like you said. They could put a good match on if they wanted to, and they did. But nobody cared. This match wasn't for a PLE by any regards, and it did not need to be there.
I felt the same way. In the stadium, it felt really flat. It was definitely the bathroom break. And to be fair, it was actually pretty. Having gone back and watched it, the actual broadcast of it was pretty well wrestled from a technical standpoint.
Yeah.
I just think it was a victim of, you've got this match in between 2 Royal Rumble matches. Obviously, Cody and KO come after, but still, it's blocking our way to the men's Royal Rumble match. And truthfully, I might get drawn out to pasture for saying this, but DIY and Motor City Machine Guns, as great wrestlers as they are, they just don't draw my interest the way that everything else on this card did. So I would agree with you guys and say that I don't feel like it needed to be on the card. An interesting question. I'll ask you guys. You tell me what you think. If you could go back and replace this match with another match on and put a different match on the card, what would you do?
I would have put like a woman's match or something like that. Like maybe.
I think you could take Lyra Valkyria, or
you could have an Intercontinental or a U.S. title there for sure.
Yeah. I feel like that would have been better here.
Very.
Personally, I would have put the Chelsea Green and her title and the U.S. title in a match here. I think it would have felt a little better. It wouldn't have had this big expectation that these tag team wrestlers had, and it would have filled this gap much better, and it would have given that title.
One thing I don't understand about this match is why was it a 2 out of 3 pinfall? What fucking stipulation is that? Whose idea was that?
It's actually a really good stipulation.
It's a good one, not for a tag match.
It was not done well here. A 2 out of 3 falls is meant to. It's almost like a no DQ match, right? Like you have to take that extra step to get more pins. And I just don't think they played it that way. I mean, I remember even from watching from my seat, and I had relatively decent seats, when the first pinfall happened, I thought it was an accident. That's how anticlimactic.
I don't even remember who got the first pinfall. That's how out of it I was.
I looked over at the fella next to me, and I was like, man, I don't think he was supposed to count that 3. Good thing they have. Good thing it's a 2 out of 3 falls match, and it didn't end the match. But yeah, I definitely would have done something different here if we're looking to round
Maybe a
the
stipulation.
PLE up. And I'll tell you, it's tough because Triple H does something so well, and that is he usually does a great job of placing matches right before or around really coveted, anticipated matches to get eyeballs on the match
Mhm.
and to generate some excitement for the wrestlers that typically don't get that much exposure. I think in this case, the gap was too far, right? Even them going before Cody and KO, we just didn't care, right? I watched the match because I'm crazy and I don't want to miss a second of the show. But when I looked to my left and my right, there were people going up the stairs to go to the bathroom or go get something to eat. So yeah, I would agree. I think in the future, continue to do that. I don't want to see him stop trying to give these other folks airtime, but do it in a way to where the gap's not so big
Mhm.
and we just totally lose interest.
And I think they were also hurt by the fact that Flair won. And
Yeah.
we'll get to it on Raw. The crowd didn't like it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you went from a disappointment to like
Mm.
I don't care.
Yeah, so you go from I hate this to oh, do I even care about this? And back to back like that, and
You're just waiting. You're waiting the whole time for the next match to
Mhm.
start.
Moving on.
Well, we didn't rate
very
it. We didn't
exciting
rate it.
match.
We didn't rate it. We didn't rate it.
Oh,
We
yeah,
didn't rate
you
it.
gotta rate it.
Okay. Will, you go first. What was your rating for this match? Oh God,
2.
here we go. 2.
A 2.
Oh,
I'm gonna be generous and give it a 4. It wasn't good, but the wrestling inside of it was good. It had a terrible finish, which doesn't give it a 5. If it had a good finish, it would be a decent match. But it
Will gave it a 2.
Mm,
that's pretty
yeah.
bad. I think that's your lowest rated so far, huh?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Lord.
For
It's
the
like that
audience,
for a
I don't
while.
even think you've rated
In
a
order to
Nia
be a
Jax
1,
match that low.
In order to be a 1, Netflix has to glitch out and just go black screen. That's how you get a 1. So
Basically,
step
don't see
above
it or
that.
it lasts 5 seconds. That's what a 1 is.
Yeah, I'm actually probably going to divide you guys up, be right in the middle, and give it a 3. I think it was actually funny enough when I was looking at the card, I had a little hope for this match and thought, hey, these guys are going to feel really challenged by what's before and what's after their match, and they're going to step up and they're going to put something together that's going to catch our eyes because they're kind of the underdogs on the card. Now, funny enough, as we move on to the next card, the next match on the card, I think that's what happened here. As we look at the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes versus the prize fighter, Kevin Owens, in a ladder match for the WWE Undisputed title and the pseudo winged eagle title that we don't know is really a
Whatever
title.
we're doing with that.
Hey, this one was brutal. It was bone cracking. It was snapping. It was loud. It was everything that we thought it wasn't going to be. Right? I'll be totally honest with you, and I've been pretty open and honest with these two fellas about telling them, hey, I'm not excited about this match. We've seen Cody versus KO already. It was mediocre at best, and now we've got to watch them again on what I would consider the biggest PLE of 2025. And it was
Boy,
really
they delivered.
It was
It
awesome. These two
delivered,
guys, I
baby.
can't imagine the conversation that these two guys had in the back. And if I had to imagine it, it probably went something along the lines of everybody in this arena is expecting a crap match, and we're about to blow their minds, and that's what they did. So lots of brutal spots, some that we want to talk through, and there were a lot of times during this match. I'll tell you, they hit a couple of these spots on these ladders, and we were worried about people's health, especially in the stadium where we had not as much of a close up camera wise as you guys did, and so yeah, ultimately a match that delivered when we weren't expecting it to. What do you guys think?
Yeah, this was one of those where you go, do I really want to watch Cody and Kevin again? And the ladder match is added to the stipulations added. And Kevin Owens in these weird stipulation matches, man, he's got a little bit of Mick Foley in him.
It's his bread and butter for sure.
Like he like you give him a stipulation like that, and he runs with it, man. The spots were great. Honestly, and I know you've already said this, so I get to steal your thunder here, Alex. It's the best match of Cody Rhodes' run as champion.
Yeah,
agreed.
It's not close.
I don't think it's close either. Yeah, I'm about to say the best thing he's done. Had me genuinely concerned for the title a couple of times during the match, which is rare with this belt these days.
Right.
And they did even get me on that last spot. Even I was questioning. Okay, did that hit correctly? Are we okay?
Is he okay? Yeah.
Like, because even Adam Pearce threw up the X. Like
I saw that. Yeah,
he caught it on the replay, but he threw the X up, and so I was really worried for a second.
Yeah, for those who don't know, if you haven't seen the PLE, the finishing spot of the match, they're tossing hits back and forth on a table, and Cody Rhodes actually picks up KO for an Alabama slam and slams him straight through a ladder. And KO is just flipped upside down on his head.
And it hurt. I know it had to hurt.
He looked like he died on impact. I mean, the way this was sold, and like you said, Adam Pearce was throwing up the X. What you guys didn't see is in the stadium, there were people all the way around there. There was like refs coming up to the barricades, and they were all doing it. We thought
they fooled Jolly more than us.
We thought he was in serious trouble, right? Everybody, like the whole stadium, got quiet.
And like, even Cody, they would cut to Cody, and like Cody was side eyeing it. Like
Cody was like hoping he didn't kill this guy.
I think it was part sell, but I do think there were, for the first minute or two, I think they were genuinely concerned.
He wasn't moving. He was like in that little weird position on his head, and he wasn't moving. It was like about a solid 5 minutes he stayed in that position.
And the real doctor did come over. I pointed that out to my wife. He walked up. Like the real doctor, Chris Amon, I think his name is. They called him over, and then that started to scare me too. I was like, "Oh wait, this is not like some person in a WWE medical shirt."
Even if it wasn't a real injury and he was actually okay, I love the fact that they raise our concern with getting the real doctors in. Everyone throwing up X. I love that they're using that to convey how hard hitting these moves are. It just drives the story. It drives everything in the match so far, and I love it. I love the shot. My favorite part of the match is when after he slams him and Cody gets up and grabs the belts, wins, of course, comes back to the table with both the championships, and KO is being held by Sammy and someone else. And dude, that might be one of the coldest photos or shots WWE has ever taken.
The Homelander shot. That's what it was.
Yeah, it was perfect.
Having rewatched it and just kind of zooming in a little bit on how KO landed in that spot, I think it was kind of perfect, and I don't think it was planned that way, because the exact way that ladder snapped allowed KO to essentially roll back onto his neck, but he wasn't actually laying on his neck because he had that space between the ladder and the floor. And I think that was, for lack of a better phrase, kind of a lucky landing that made it look really gruesome, but it wasn't, right? So, and look, for the benefit of the audience here, this was not the first spot in this match that was brutal. I think we had KO, and forgive me, I don't know the technical name for the suplex he pulled, but slammed Cody Rhodes on a ladder off the top turnbuckle. We also had KO get dropped onto the corner where the focal point of the ladder landed on the small of his back. And they were just, and it was something that was a really interesting dynamic. And I really wanted to bring this up here because I don't know if this came through on TV, and I really probably should have looked for it when I rewatched. But we kept, as a crowd, because we're dumb and it's a ladder match, guess what we're asking for? We want tables.
I was like, do they not realize?
And you know what? Looking back, we kept saying that, hey, we want tables. We want tables.
They used the ladders as tables.
They kept going to the ring and pulling out ladders. And looking back on it, I'm like, hell yeah, that was awesome, because they stuck to the premise of the match. They didn't turn it into a TLC match. And when we started chanting for tables, they started pulling shit off the ladders and hitting each other with it, like rungs of the ladders, the little stilts that hold the ladders apart.
Yeah,
that was a callback.
When Cody kicked that shit off the bottom rung, dude, and started beating him with it, that was badass.
I don't know if y'all caught this. That's a callback because Wade Barrett did that to Cody back in the day.
Yeah.
So that was like a little callback Cody did for Wade.
So Cody's best match of his title run, I think we can all agree there.
Yeah.
Brutal match, delivered on a scale that we thought it wasn't going to deliver on. So when you guys think back on it, what's your ratings? We'll start with you, Nathan.
It's a 9 for me. It is. That was as far as I can recall, the last, probably since WrestleMania, that's probably the second best match I've seen since Mania. The first being CM Punk versus McIntyre, of course. That's up there. As far as the year, that match is solid. It had everything I wanted in it, and I didn't come into the match thinking that it was going to be a good match. Thoroughly surprised, and I was pleased. Very good match.
Right. Will?
Yeah, I gave the other best match of the year. I would agree with Nathan is the Punk McIntyre Hell in a Cell in Atlanta. I would have given that a 9, and I'm going to continue with that. And I'm going to give this one a 9 as well. Keep in mind, I'm stingier than the other two. 9 is really good for me, and I think they really hit it here.
Now, as for someone who was there, what do you rate this match?
It's a 10. That match was, I mean, I got to be honest. And I got to tell you, me coming into the match, if you'd have snatched me out of the crowd before the match started and said, I want you to guess what this is going to be out of 10, I probably would have told you 5, maybe 6, if it was good. And so for me to give this a 10, I hope you guys know this thing delivered some serious emotion. There were more real emotions coming out of me than entertaining emotions, meaning there was more of me that was genuinely concerned and bought into what these guys were doing in that ring than there was me understanding that I'm watching wrestling entertainment.
And that's when wrestling is the best.
Dude,
that's when it takes you out and you forget you're completely watching sports entertainment. It's the best.
They completely blurred that line, and I don't think the line even existed. For me, if you were to ask me what Cody Rhodes' best match before this was, I would have told you his Hell in a Cell match with Seth Rollins where he wrestled with a torn pec. This one went over and above that. I think not only in the match itself and how do I say this? It felt very controversial. It also delivered on feeding storylines. I have been thinking for weeks now that maybe we're leaning into a Cody Rhodes heel turn. And if we are, that's going to be a very difficult corner to turn, right? It's going to be very difficult for WWE to get me to buy into and bite down on the fact that Cody's a bad guy now.
It's going to be hard.
This flipped my heart a little bit. I buy it.
Just get you close.
You're going to be able to put video packages together of Cody Rhodes standing over what is essentially a half-dead Kevin Owens. They sold it. I think they sold KO as a credible threat. So you know, hey, anytime you can be left bloodied and battered and your stock went up, man, that's a special match. So you know, and maybe that extra point comes from me having been in the arena and seeing the raw reactions of the people around me. But if I've ever seen a 10 out of 10, this was it. And I would have give Punk and McIntyre Bad Blood probably a 9. So this is, for me, the best match I've ever seen.
Dang.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
It's my gold. Yeah, and that's a lot to say. I love Kevin and I love Cody, and I think they've all done their part. But I'm excited to see where they go from here because I know it's going to continue to be good. I'm interested in the story now. All right, the time has come. We now move on to the men's 2025 Royal Rumble match. Very highly anticipated. This match was star-studded to the point of there weren't many surprise returns, right? If you look back on this match and you actually go through the entrance one by one, what you'll realize is there was only really 2 surprise entrants. That being our streamer and Gen Z extraordinaire, I Show Speed, and then Joe Hendry. Yeah, and I Show Speed and Joe Hendry were really the only 2 surprises. Aside from that, it was just star power. And I have some really cool insights to share from you guys. Not to continue to beat on this, but from being in the arena and kind of feeling the emotions of the crowd and how we really took to the decisions that were made here versus how we've seen the wrestling community take to it on the internet since, right? So
yeah, those of us on our couches definitely had a different opinion of this than y'all in the arena.
So we start with Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio's music hits. Hey, he's a Hall of Famer. He's a legend. We know him. We love him. The second he hit that ramp, I looked over to the guy next to me and I said, Penta's coming out next, right? And that's what happened. So we get started with kind of a showcase of what we hope one day ends up being a dream match that we get to see. And then we're off to the races. So, I mean, as you guys mentally go through this Royal Rumble and you were watching it, what did you guys think? How do you feel like the spots landed? And do you feel like this set us on a good path to a WrestleMania?
One of the few Rumbles that, like you say, didn't have a lot of surprises, and the surprises we got weren't huge. It was cool to get the Joe Hendry pop, and I Show Speed took the spear of all spears. But like you say, driven by star power, I think the internet wrestling community and those of us at home talked ourselves into things happening around this Royal Rumble that were probably unrealistic, and I think we talked ourselves into expecting something that was just never.
Yeah, some of the predictions I saw were ridiculous. Like both of the Hardy Boys, Dolph Ziggler, of course. I wish, but and a lot of people from TNA that used to be on WWE. A lot of people were expecting that. It was unrealistic. In the first place.
The first 20 to 30 minutes was kind of slow for me personally.
Mm-hmm.
There were no botches or anything like that. It was just kind of eh. Mm-hmm. The last the last 25 minutes or so. Give me a second.
No, Rey Mysterio and Penta.
That was good. Like the first 10 minutes.
It was great.
Okay, so we'll break this up.
Great start
the first
to the match.
10 minutes with Rey and Penta and all that was good. There's like a 20-minute section there that just I just wasn't into. But then once you got there was the moment it turned for me. I think Roman comes out first, right?
No, Joe Hendry comes out first, then Roman.
Yeah, Roman. Well, Hendry comes out.
Roman was before Joe Hendry.
Was he?
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
But it's the spot where Roman comes out, hits a couple of things, and then we get the 2 or 3 after, or just like we're all staring at each other because it's like back to back to back mega stars. Like Punk comes out, Rollins comes out, like they all come out right there. And it was just that changed it for me all the way up until the very
number
last.
30. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I want to run through a few. Go ahead, Nathan.
There are 2 superstars that were not in this match that could have made this match exponentially better. Number 1, no. It was actually 2 WWE superstars that just weren't in the match. I don't know if you guys noticed. Number 1, Randy Orton, not in the match. Aggravating. If he was in the last 3, that shit would have been fire. And then another person that I think could have added a lot of drama to the ring, Solo Sikoa. Solo Sikoa was not in the match where I was expecting him. I was really expecting him because him and Jacob Fatu kind of got a thing going on right now. And Fatu Fatu was one of the best parts of the match, in my opinion.
Don't worry. Solo's coming back with The Rock. But anyway.
Probably so. But those are 2 people that I think if they had them in this match would have made it better.
All good points. So, hey, I'll take you guys through a few specific points I wanted to make about this Rumble match. The beginning I felt was really, really strong. Penta and Rey were just going at it, kind of a clinic of wrestling. The crowd was so into this. It wasn't even funny. So I think we pulled off a great start to the match, and we didn't even really have to use that extra star power that we had later in the match. Jumping forward, I want to talk a little bit about IShowSpeed entering this Royal Rumble match. Now, this is something that I had talked to these two fellas about, and I've been pretty open about. As soon as I saw him and Kai Cenat revolving around this Royal Rumble match, my initial thoughts were, I do not want either of these two to be in this match. That was the way I felt, and there was nothing that was going to change my mind. But I'm going to give you guys a little perspective, and maybe I'm curious to see if this came through watching it at home. So we're watching the Royal Rumble, and then so you have Chad Gable come out. We love Chad Gable, right? We're part of Alpha Academy. Theme song hits, he comes out. Not one or two entrants later, theme song hits, same theme song. Otis comes out, right? We like Otis, gets a relatively positive reaction, but now we've heard this song twice, right? The third time this song hits, it's Tozawa. And he walks out, and I'm telling you the truth here. Everybody in a 10-foot radius, we all turned and looked at each other and went, what the hell are we doing? We have wasted 3 spots on Alpha Academy. We're mad at this point. We see him walking out, and then Carmelo Hayes turns and hits him. And we're like, yeah, everybody drag him to the back. We don't want to see Tozawa. So it was brilliant how they took a moment that was actually very disappointing for the crowd and flipped it. Because when they took him to the back and Triple H was like, hey, he needs to be replaced. Speed, you're in the Rumble. We were like, yeah, all right. We actually got somebody that's fresh, new, exciting. So now we're on IShowSpeed's side. He comes out, and I think Speed nailed selling this experience, because as I'm watching Speed come out, interact with the crowd, go down the ramp, get in the ring, I'm like, I'm not thinking about, oh, this is a great WWE match. I'm looking at him and going, that is how I would feel.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like, he was all of us in that moment.
Like, this guy is living my dream, and you can see it on his face that he is, right? So he gets in the ring. I think he attempts to throw Chad Gable out. Chad doesn't go out, but he flips over the rope. He actually helps Braun Breaker, and they successfully eliminate Otis. And I think they credited the elimination to IShowSpeed. And then Speed gets excited and gets lost in the crowd. So looking at the crowd, he does his little rah-rah thing.
Braun's running the ropes behind him.
The best way I can describe this is just like a Jaws moment, right? Like, you just see this shark behind Speed stalking him. And I got to tell you, he did not have to hit Speed that damn hard with that.
That was hard.
I'm going to tell you right now, you have never heard 70,000 people laugh so hard they couldn't breathe. I mean, he smeared him. And, Speed is not a professional wrestler. He doesn't know you have to tuck your chin when you get run over by a man that's made of muscle, right? So he just his head back, slams him into the mat. And personally, I think Speed was a little concussed just looking, especially watching.
He sold that shit though, dude.
Speed is a good actor, but he ain't that good.
So if you actually, y'all ever see clips of him at all?
Oh yeah.
He is actually, he's really wild sometimes when it comes to his clips. There's a clip of him somewhere on the internet where he like completely dives into his setup and like head first. Like, PC falls on him and everything. There's also another clip of him doing a backflip right onto his desk. Like, he's kind of used to getting thrown around. Yeah.
He's wild.
So, I mean, he was, I could say, the only thing I'm not going to say he was ready for that spear, because that probably shook him. But when they threw him out of the ring and Otis caught him and he flipped him over him and onto the table, that looked natural, and I think he sold that fantastically.
Yeah. I honestly... I struggle to use the word best, but it was one of my favorite moments in the entire Rumble, which if you would have tried to tell me that before the match, I'd have told you were crazy. And it didn't overstay its welcome, right? Mm-hmm. It wasn't too long.
It did what it needed to do.
So funny, man. I mean, it was just hilarious. And I think part of that comes from Braun Breaker hitting him way too hard. But regardless, I think
he died.
Something that I think a lot of people overlook when it comes to a great Royal Rumble match is it has to have a funny moment. I mean, it has to. You
does.
can't. It's like watching. If not, then it's like watching a movie that's too serious, and it gets to become heavy, right? Because you've got. It's like a shot of adrenaline. Every 2 minutes, you got more people coming out, coming out, coming out. And if it's all serious business, it doesn't feel fun. And I think I Show Speed came out, and he, to his credit, he delivered some funny.
Gave us a laugh for a minute.
And I wonder if there was a moment backstage after that match where Braun Breaker apologized because he hit him way too damn hard.
I'm sure he did.
So moving forward, hey, great to see. Funny moment, and I think we did a great job of taking from that funny moment. And shortly thereafter, we get Roman Reigns. He comes out to the ring. We got Roman Reigns earlier than I think people were anticipating. I think he was around 15. He was around 15. Don't quote me on that, but Roman Reigns comes out, and I was excited to see him come out a little earlier because I wanted to see him put a little work in, right? I think it would have been disappointing for me to see Roman come at 25 to 30. He did, and we got some cool things with Roman Reigns before business picked up even further. We got to see Roman Reigns interact with our surprise entrant, Joe Hendry. That was really cool because it's just not something you would think you would ever get to see. And with Roman in particular, all these major storylines revolve around him. So you really don't get to see him interact with the mid card, lower mid card, or even upper mid card ever, right? So getting to see him interact with Joe Hendry, spear Sheamus, we haven't seen that in a long time. Getting to see him and Penta work together, right? They had a couple of spots where he lifted him up onto the turnbuckle. It was good to see, and it really, right.
Breath of fresh air.
It really made me kind of yearn for the times where Roman was there more. And it's kind of sad. And I get that that's probably never going to change. But it gave me a quick reset and reminded me why we like Roman so much, because he is great. And he can kind of work with everybody and give a great story.
It was one of those moments where he reminds you, while Cody Rhodes may have the WWE title, and they may tout him as the face of the company,
he's still the sheriff in town.
Roman Reigns runs the place.
Yep.
And he will be the face that runs the place for the foreseeable future.
Right.
He's just that good. He might only show up 6 times a year, but he's still the face that runs the place.
Yeah. And then as Will alluded to earlier, we get to this spot, and I wanted to take a moment and kind of dig into this particular spot where Roman's in the ring. And John Cena's music hits. I think he came out at 23. Man, when John Cena's music hit, the stadium lost it. Right? There was already a sea of blue. People wearing his gear. We're excited to see his last Royal Rumble. We're hopefully optimistic that he performs well and maybe wins the match. I think he was the favorite as far as people wanting him to win. He comes out. We kind of have a heartfelt moment where he winks and nods at the crowd and tells Stu they're going to have one last Royal Rumble, runs down, just like the good old days. Yeah, heartwarming. Slides in the ring, and him and Roman Reigns have a nice little stare down after John quickly eliminates Braun Strowman and does a little work in the ring. And then so we're here, and this is such a cool moment because we've got Roman, we see Cena, they lock eyes. So we were already excited. We were here. John walked out. Roman and Cena lock eyes. We went up a notch. Boom. CM Punk's music hits. We go up a notch. Right? Now the crowd's like over capacity on screaming. Right? He comes down to the ring, gets in, and we have this 3-way stare down. Now we go up a little higher. How long has it been since we've seen CM Punk and John Cena in a ring together? We're up a little higher. Boom. Seth Rollins music hits. Seth Rollins has history with Roman Reigns. Seth Rollins has history with CM Punk. Oh my God. Now we got a 4-way stare down. He comes out of the ring, gets in. Now we're at critical mass here. And I got to tell you, you know what it felt like in the stadium? And I hope it felt this way at home. It felt like we were running out of air. I mean, it's like we were going up higher and higher in the atmosphere and we couldn't breathe. And it was awesome.
You could tell from like the couch perspective when Seth turns the corner, they had picked the perfect time to pop that bubble. That they were all kind of staring at each other, and like we didn't. It was everybody was going crazy in the stadium, and then they picked the right person to come out last. He came in and instantly broke the bubble, and on we were back to the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, I would argue this was the best part of the Rumble for me, and
at least the match. The men's one, yeah.
It was the best part of the Rumble for me because, man, it was like we were going to pass out from excitement. I mean, it was cool, and you got to consider we still had a lot of Rumble left. I think after Seth came out, we were 25. That was 25 for Seth.
Yeah, we were. They were
5 more people to come on the other side of this, and then we lock and we go after it. Right? I think we get them locking up, throwing punches, and then we're off to the races. And I will tell you this is something that was a hope of mine, and I think they actually landed this. John Cena had a really good showing in this Royal Rumble. My fear, and it almost happened, I think there was a moment right as he came out where right before he eliminated Braun Strowman, it looked like they were going to throw him out immediately. And that, for me, would have been worst case scenario, right? If John wasn't going to win, I wanted to see what I kept saying was flashes of Super Cena, and we got that. We got they alluded back to the times when he would pick 2 people up for the AA. He did that at some point in the match, and we had him have some significant eliminations. I've heard from a few people just through the internet and a few things, they didn't really like how John was kind of overacting.
It was a little overacted.
I've heard this phrase. You can't say that's not John Cena. John Cena comes from a different time in WWE. It's not a time in WWE where things were super serious, super cool, right? Like it was kind of cartoony. But you know what? When you look back and John and CM Punk had this great rivalry because they were like sugar and salt, right? Like they were just polar opposites. CM Punk was always serious and angry, and John Cena was fun and kind of lighthearted sometimes. So my point is, I really think they handled John Cena's role in this Rumble really well. I actually, funny enough, and this is 100% true, as soon as Logan Paul got knocked out of the ring, I looked over at the guy next to me and I said, John's going to lose and Jey Uso is going to win. Because I know John Cena. I don't know him personally, but I know him well enough to know there was 0% chance he was going to put himself over Jey Uso. But
I was just about to point that out. I was about to point that out that as great as we've been talking about the Royal Rumble, we have not talked about the winner whatsoever.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
One second. I want to get in on the John conversation for a second. When people say he's overacting, I would say you're looking for Super Cena, and that's not the character that John Cena is currently giving you. You're getting Fruity Pebbles John Cena. And there were flashes. There were a couple of flashes, like you say, of Super Cena there for a second. But like the overacting, the facial expressions, that's Fruity Pebbles John Cena.
Yeah.
Like, for the kids, we'll get baby. There. For the kids.
Like we'll get to the Super Cena. Clearly, we're building up to that. But give it time, guys. Give it time.
Since we're on the John topic, there was something I wanted to make sure I covered, and I'm sure that there's some footage online of it somewhere, but we'll go through the match. We'll talk about Jey winning in a moment, but let's just say, hey, John has this great moment at the end where him and Jey are going back and forth. Will he, won't he? And John gets eliminated. You see the heartbreak on his face. And he was really humble, gets in the ring, congratulates Jey, does the whole 9. Something that I thought was real interesting, and I don't think they showed it on TV, but something great they did for this Rumble is they actually elevated the entrance way. So that even if you're sitting in the crowd, you could see everybody running out. So as John was going back up the ramp to go back to Gorilla, I'm watching John, and John's going real slow. He's looking around this entire. He stopped probably 3 or 4 times and just looked 360. He's talking to fans. He looks sad and kind of sullen, but this really correlated to something with me because I watched that. I remember Jey celebrating. We're all doing the yeet thing, but I was definitely watching John as he went back. And John is a very observant person. And so then I watched the post-match conference, and John was very poignant, and he had one message to deliver, and that was, I came in here to do a goodwill tour, that this is no longer that. I think what's best for business is that I win 17, and that's what I'm going to do.
I'll piggyback here.
I think John realized it when he was walking back up that ramp to go back to Gorilla. He looked around, and there were 70,000 people wearing his T-shirt. And he realized, hey, people don't want to just see me do the circus goodbye, hit every state, and go home. There are 70,000 people standing in the ceiling of this stadium because they want me to win. And that is what I have to do.
That's what's good for business.
It was interesting for me to be able to almost mentally draw a line to that, because I think people were shocked by his post-match conference. He was so serious, so poignant. But I think the realization hit him in that moment. He was like, "Hey, I have to do this. This is
one thing that I think me and Will had texted about it is, so when Jey Uso did in fact kick him off and John's feet hit the floor, there was like some stutter in the crowd. Like there was no cheer. There was like
right here.
This is where I think what you're talking about happened, because when he hops back into the ring, I think he was trying to stop people from booing Jey Uso right in that moment.
I'm glad you're saying
John. I'm almost positive.
That's what it looked like on TV.
Based on the TV copy, our view of it, like the crowd stopped for a second.
Yeah,
and
it was silent.
And you could see the wheels turning in John's head. Like
even Jey Uso.
Oh shit!
Jey Uso was
back in this ring.
Yeah, Jey Uso was on Nightcap, and they said, so when you threw John Cena out, what was your first reaction? And he said, and I quote, "Oh shit."
Yeah,
because he thought he was about to get booed out of the building.
And I have a little insight to give you here, because it's weird when you're in these crowds versus at home. There's like a mob mentality, especially in what is a giant room full of 70,000 people. The emotions were strange. We all when it was just Jey and John, we wanted John to win for sure, right? So they go back and forth. We're all hoping. John's feet hit that mat, and we were immediately heartbroken, right? Then we went from heartbroken, and this, I want you to know, this happened in 5 seconds. Heartbroken, straight to angry, right? I felt the swell of anger for a second, and then we all just kind of tilted our head and went, "It's Jey. We love Jey. Jey's a good person. Jey's here every week for us, right? He cares. He has a lineage in the business. We can't boo Jey. We love Jey." And then we all celebrated with Jey. I think having been in that stadium, and I'm sure some of this came through at home, Jey was the only person in that arena, if it was going to come down to John being one of the last two, that could have thrown him out and not gotten booed. I think if CM Punk threw him out, CM Punk would have gotten booed for sure.
Punk would have gotten booed for sure.
Anybody that was not there every week and not putting his true heart and soul into wrestling would have thrown John Cena out at the end. They would have got booed from there all the way to WrestleMania, and there would have been no stopping that train. So I'm going to tell you right now,
he deserved that.
As Jey deserved, I feel like Jey deserved the win, but also there's some genius in here. I think they picked the one person that was going to get a celebration at the end of this. Because I don't think anyone else that entered this Rumble would have. I think if Roman Reigns had thrown him out, there would have been some boos. And that's just how I feel from where the crowd was at. The crowd was overly partial to John, but we love Jey. Jey's like our brother or our cousin that we're close to. And you're maybe not the guy I look forward to 100% seeing every single week. I don't tune in just for you, but when you're there It
I
makes me
feel
smile.
safe. Yeah.
Yeah, like you're one of us, right?
Yeah.
We kind of live through Jay in that way. So I will tell you this: is his main event match, whether he's an opener or a closer at WrestleMania, going to be the most exciting thing we've ever seen? No, and we'll talk a little more about that when it comes to Raw and some interactions we saw there. But I will tell you, if there's a guy running the ropes in WWE today that deserved that win, it's Jey Uso, and I stand by this when I say it. That was the right call.
I agree.
Here's what I hate about it, because I'm going to differ, and it's not because of Jay. I'm happy for Jay. I echo most of the stuff you say with him. What I hate about this is, if we knew this was the ending of the Rumble at least a month ago, then why the hell do we do a Saturday night's main event and run the WrestleMania main event 2 weeks before the fucking Rumble? Like, what are we doing?
I'm going to tell you why. I know why.
It makes no sense.
I thought about this. Nathan, you want to take a guess?
You want to know why?
Yeah. Why did we have Jey Uso lose to Gunther just to have him go win the Royal Rumble?
So that whenever he does win the Royal Rumble, or the main event, it's special.
I mean, that's the story. But
I'm going to lead you. I'm going to lead you to this. We've done this story already with Gunther. Who was Jey Uso last time?
I hate this.
I'm asking.
Who was Jey Uso last time?
Yeah.
A tag teamer.
I hate it.
We did this with Sami Zayn last year. Sami Zayn
I know what we did, and I don't like it.
For the Intercontinental Championship, they told the same story of the underdog that can't win it, and now they're going to build up to him winning it at the biggest show of the year. Now, I agree with you, Will. I'm not overly excited by this. I don't like the idea of seeing somebody lose just to win at WrestleMania. I want to see somebody strong win that belt at WrestleMania. And, hey, it'll still be a celebration when he does win it. And I'm almost certain he'll go to WrestleMania and take that belt off of Gunther. But they're following a template here. And it's the same template we followed with Sami Zayn and Gunther. And it should not be repeated.
Very obvious.
It works for the IC title. It doesn't work for the world title.
Nope.
And it feels like we're just one of the big slots. And I don't think it's going to be an opener or a closer. I think they're going to do like what they did with the girls last year and kind of put it on.
What if they pull some crazy shit? What if, like, at Mania, that's the Kevin Owens and Cody fight?
It could be.
What if it's like really great? What if it's the best match of the night?
Even if it's a great match, here's my problem. It is beyond predictable. It is the only Mania match that we all three can predict who the winner is right now. And based on what we think is coming from main events, is it better than any of the other main event matches we think are coming? Because the answer is no.
No.
Here's my problem with it. And this is, if I could ask the WWE officials one question, it would be, why build this match when you know it's not a draw? This match is not putting any butts in the seat.
No.
Nobody is spending $5,000 for a decent seat at WrestleMania to watch Jey Uso fight Gunther.
And it's not Jay or Gunther's fault. I like both wrestlers.
You're right, but it's not a draw.
The pairing is not a draw. It just makes no sense to me.
And I just wonder, hey, how – and we're not all the way through. We still got Elimination Chamber and some things to add here, but how hard would it be to have coaxed Randy Orton to come back, open that up a little bit for John to face Gunther? And now you've got Gunther in a match people want to see. You've got Randy versus Cody. And then you've got, hey, you could do Roman CM Punk or Roman Rock if Rock's available or whatever. Now you've got 3 really great headline matches that are draws that put butts in the seats, as opposed to we've got a Jey Uso and a Gunther that, hey, we're not going to hate it. And if Jey Uso wins, great. But none of us bought our ticket for this match. And shocker here, everyone's going to down me here. I'm going to WrestleMania. And it has nothing to do with Jey Uso and Gunther. I bought the ticket. I'm going to be transparent here and take the bullet. I bought the ticket off the hope that Roman Reigns and The Rock would main event one of the nights. And maybe that's not going to happen. I think there's enough to be excited about that it doesn't matter. But my point is, there's not a single heart beating on this planet that clicked purchase on that ticket for Jay and Gunther. And I think when we talk about what's good for business, I don't think it's really
Not
great
good
for
for
business. I will tell you this. We've had past times where winning the Royal Rumble didn't necessarily mean that you ended up at WrestleMania. I think, was it Rey Mysterio one time won the Royal Rumble and ended up putting it on the line against Randy Orton, and Randy Orton took it off of him before WrestleMania. So there could be a swerve in here somewhere.
There could be a swerve.
It could be. Right?
I still wish that at Elimination Chamber, you guys remember when they used to actually put the champions in the match and it could change in the Elimination Chamber? That's so dumb that's not a thing anymore, in my opinion.
I don't want to get too off topic here. Let's jump back for a second. So, 2025 Men's Royal Rumble match. Let's see what your ratings are. Let's get yours first, Will.
I'm going to say 5.
Ooh.
That's a little low.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I think that block, I'm telling y'all, that block of about 20 minutes that just didn't hit.
Hang on. All right. I give it an 8. It hit everything that I wanted out of the match. Jey Uso deserved it. He definitely needs a strap, regardless of what the outcome of that's going to be. He just needs the belt, for sure. He deserves it, and I'm not mad at.
He needed the belt 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Man, we had Rey and Penta with a strong start. We got Roman early. We had this great take you to the atmosphere moment with Roman and Cena and CM Punk and Seth Rollins. We had a great will he, won't he moment at the end with John Cena and Jey Uso going back and forth. We had a hilarious moment with ISO Speed getting run over by a train. And lastly, we had somebody that genuinely, he's not the biggest draw, but we love him and he's one of us winning. And I think it makes more sense than anyone's giving credit for. I'm going to give this match a 9 out of 10. I think being there, I've seen a ton of Royal Rumbles in my day. This was, and even watching it back on TV, was the most exciting one they've ever put together. It had the most star power, and it's not close. And if you think differently, there's 2 things that you can do. You can shove it up your tail end, and you can kiss mine, because that match was fucking awesome. And I think it's going to hold up. It's got stars from the past. It's got stars from the future. And I think we're going to get a feel-good moment out of it at WrestleMania, albeit not the biggest draw. It's a 9 out of 10, and it's the best Rumble I've ever seen.
What the?
I think being in the crowd elevated that rating a little.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I challenge you, and you go back if you want. Pull any Royal Rumble and go watch it and tell me one that drew more emotion out of you than this one. Whether you agree with the ending or not, this one took the air out of the room, and that's special. And a lot of Royal Rumbles don't do that.
I will say the last 2 that Cody had. The last 2.
Damn sure not the one Cody won. Damn sure not the ones where Brock Lesnar was in there for 6 hours throwing people over left and right. None of those. You'd have to go back to the Attitude Era to draw a Rumble that got close to this. And even then, from a technical standpoint, the wrestling wasn't as good back then. So
I buy the 8. I ain't buying that 10.
I said a 9, fool.
9. I'm sorry. I'm not buying a 9.
I thought last year's Royal Rumble was god awful, and I can't remember the last time a Royal Rumble was actually decent. So yeah, this one was very good.
Let's round the pay-per-view out, right? The PLE. What's your ratings overall for the PLE? We'll start with you, Nate.
For the whole PLE?
For the whole PLE, the whole card.
7. 7. Motor City Machine Gun brings it down by 3 points completely. But Cody and Kevin delivered. The women's wasn't bad. It was good. Nothing to gawk over, though. Men's Royal Rumble, fantastic. Of course. It's just a solid 7 for me. It's a good Rumble in terms of Rumbles go. But PLE, it's not the best PLE I've ever seen.
All right. Will?
6.
Man, I don't know what y'all are smoking. This was an 8 for me. I'm gonna tell you why. Motor City Machine Guns definitely brings the average down a lot, and I think I gave it a 3, but it was such a short amount of time, considering the actual PLE was 4+ hours. It was maybe 20 or 30 minutes of that, if that. And I just think, man, the Cody and Kevin Owens match being, for me, I rated it a 10, being a surprise, a shock, and something that was really special that I'm going to remember for years. And then also, man, I just thought it was the best Rumble I've ever seen. I got to give it an 8. So all in all, I think we're kind of all over the board here.
6, 7, 8.
I guess you would have to, I don't know, get Hulk Hogan in his prime, The Rock in his prime, Stone Cold in his prime, Roman Reigns in his prime.
I think we rate matches
Shawn Michaels in his
Yeah, I'm
prime.
about to say, you're forgetting Shawn.
You would have to get all of these people together to get Will to rate something a freaking 7. So,
everybody can hate me for how I rate things. I value finishes.
You are the Simon Cowell of this podcast. Moving on.
Give me a minute.
Okay, so look, he rated it as a PLE. That's what that whole rating was for. Is it the best PLE you've ever seen, Alex? Is it? Absolutely?
That's why it's got an 8. That's why it's missing 2 points.
There's no way that there's...
The best PLE I've ever seen would be a 10.
What's the best PLE you've ever seen? What are you bouncing that off of?
Oh, WrestleMania 40. WrestleMania 40 was, I would say, probably a 9.
It's up there.
Yeah, that's the best PLE I've ever seen. This Royal Rumble, I think it landed on all the promises it made for the most part, minus the tag match, and even over-delivered in some of the areas I thought it wasn't going to deliver in. KO and Cody I expected to be a bad match, and it was a generational match, in my opinion.
To defend my stinginess for a second, because let me defend it.
Will doesn't like this PLE is because the winner of the Royal Rumble he hates, and that's
no. Let me defend the rating. Let me defend how I rate things, because it's going to come up all these PLEs. I value the finishes and getting finishes right, and I think both Rumbles got it wrong. I can't give it higher than a 6 if the finishes are bad.
Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot. I want you to pick new winners for both Rumbles. Ready, go.
Alexa Bliss and John Cena.
Punk and
I'll go with that too.
Oh shit, I don't know who I'd make win. Nah, Jax. No, I'm just kidding.
Bianca.
Yeah,
I'll give you
that's
a
what I
second.
was gonna say.
I'll fill his out too.
I will agree with you guys that Charlotte was the wrong call. But I think that you guys are missing a vital piece when it comes to the Royal Rumble. The Royal Rumble is not best served as a match that gives a main eventer another main event match. The Royal Rumble is best served as a match that gives somebody a shot to make a name for themselves. And Jay is doing that. They made the right pick. It's hard to swallow. I wanted John to win too, but there's so much more story to be told with John
Punk has never
main
evented a WrestleMania.
Punk's never main evented a WrestleMania, but Punk is a part-time star. I mean, I have to tell you guys.
And John Cena in Hungary isn't? And Jey Uso's probably not going to show up.
I didn't say I wanted John to win. I want John to win the belt. I don't want John to win everything. And I think
we all wanted John to win that match. We all wanted him to win that match.
I'm not saying that I wouldn't have been happy if you won. I am saying that in hindsight, Jey Uso was, I think, a better winner.
I don't think you get, if you're Triple H, the fans are going to be mad at you regardless. Either you let John Cena win and people complain, oh, it's too predictable, or he loses and people get mad at you because John Cena didn't win.
It was a lose-lose.
It's a flip of the coin with WWE fans.
It was a lose-lose.
The problem with a star-studded Rumble match like the men's was this year is everybody
could have won it.
Somebody would have been mad about, right? Like every one person you make happy with the winner you chose, you pissed off 10. And that's, I think the controversy of it makes it a great match. I think the fact that so many people have opinions on who should have won tells me that the match was well put together, that it was booked well, that the entrants were done well, and that it deserves a high score. If you watch a Rumble match and everybody goes, well, that person was supposed to win and they won, then you get the women's Royal Rumble match, which is average at best. Agree to disagree. Yeah,
Agree to disagree.
Will's going to rate every WrestleMania from now to the end of time a 5. But jumping over to Raw, we're on Raw Netflix for February 3rd. Just recently happened, and we start the show out with Jey Uso coming out to celebrate, right?
Yay.
And what I could argue is maybe a little bit too long of an entrance. He's starting to draw these out a little bit. But he comes out to celebrate his 2025 Men's Royal Rumble match. And it quickly turns from jeering and excitement to an emotional moment where Jey kind of spills his heart out and just has a side-by-side moment with the fans. All these years, Jey's worked, been kind of typecast as a tag team wrestler to the point of people wondering if he was Jey or if he was Jimmy, and giving him crap about being a twin and things of those natures and of that nature. And now he's climbed out of that a little bit, and he's headed towards WrestleMania. We get a great moment where Gunther interrupts him. Obviously, I think it's all in our minds. We think Gunther's going to pick Jey Uso is going to pick Gunther heading towards WrestleMania, but maybe there's some moments in this promo that casts a little doubt on that. Ultimately, I think, from my perspective, Gunther comes out and lays a scathing promo on Jey Uso. I get sick of Gunther and sick of Gunther and sick of Gunther, and then sometimes he comes out and surprises me like he did Monday, and lands a point.
Puts you down like a diseased dog.
Yeah,
and crazy.
That line was like, oh.
Yeah. Ultimately, Jey says, "Hey, I'm probably coming for you, but I am going to go talk to Cody." And we'll see. And that's where the segment ends. So what do you guys think of this segment? Do we feel like it sets up any kind of twists or turns headed towards Elimination Chamber and WrestleMania? And do we like it? Do we like where it's taking us?
I had a couple days to sleep. So we'll start with me because I had a couple days to sleep here. I had a few days to cool off. I think Jey shows you in those first few moments he's cutting that really heartfelt promo how much improved he is on that side of things. He's always been able to fly around and wrestle and super kick people and kind of put on good matches. That's the part of his game that has really improved because he had me really feeling all of that. Feeling the emotion of it. And Gunther coming out and then doing his scathing thing, he's really improved on the mic too. I know people love him, but it makes the match more tolerable for me now because I've seen these two put on this promo where I'm like, okay, this is going to be interesting. These two can actually talk with each other.
I love that they acknowledge, like, especially Gunther. He's like, dude, you have lost 4 times to me. Please don't pick me. Like, please, God.
Yeah, I think it was it gave me some love for Gunther, and I think Jey, to your point, he has improved in a big way on the mic. It doesn't make me want to see Jey and Gunther anymore. Again, I still think this is still not selling tickets to WrestleMania.
No, it's not, but it makes you feel better.
There's one thing that through that entire promo that kind of gets me excited for it. He said, if you choose me, I will make every week up until WrestleMania a living hell for you. And I think that between now, if he does choose him, between now and to Mania, they got to do some crazy shit. Like, I need Gunther to attack Jey, fuck with him, do whatever he got to do, bro. Like, I think they could build a lot of story from here to Mania that will get you excited for the match.
Gunther injures Jey Uso. Jey Uso can't main event WrestleMania, and The Rock comes back to stand up for his cousin.
Dude, what the fuck?
I'm just kidding.
Get this man off.
I thought it was. It definitely, I think, eased some of the minds of wrestling fans around the world because hey, Cleveland really loved Jay. He walked out. It was loud in there. People were excited, and that's what we felt at the Royal Rumble too. So excited to see where that takes us. Moving on, we want to jump to the segment where Charlotte comes out, delivers a great promo. Great promo. We'll put that in quotation marks. I really think Charlotte is attempting to be a face here, and it's not working. Right?
They absolutely wrote this promo with her trying to be a face.
Yeah, she came out, tried to pour. It almost felt like she was pouring her heart out to the fans, saying, "Every day I was gone, I thought about you." Blah blah blah, and everybody was like, "We don't care." Boo.
And the crowd just didn't take
And
it.
listen, I love it because I'm gonna tell you what, they didn't set her up to be a face. I think they're trying to put her out there to be a face, and she just waltzed back in and won the Royal Rumble. And she looks like she's had 8 years worth of plastic surgery as it is. So we got plenty to make fun of. No offense. But I mean, it's
Lord have mercy.
She just and look, you pile on top of it that she's a Flair, and they're not known for their humbleness, right? There's no mixture of this that creates a face character. So she's interrupted by Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley comes out, and we have this moment that doesn't really get me excited because I don't want to see Rhea and Charlotte fight again, but kind of hearkening back to their matches of the past and Rhea feeling disrespected. Ultimately, Rhea asks Charlotte to challenge her at WrestleMania. Charlotte says, "No, I'm going to go visit. I'm going to
go to NXT and ask,
yeah,
who in the hell?
Pick NXT. Yeah, we would love that.
Holy shit!
You might get introduced to that actually. So she says she's going to go check out all the other champions. So we'll see Charlotte hopping over to SmackDown real soon, and we'll see if it's Tiffy time. But how do you guys feel about the segment? Were you entertained by it? Do you feel like Charlotte Flair is headed on a good path as we're headed towards WrestleMania?
I enjoyed this segment. Up until Rhea showed up. Because I like Rhea. I don't get me wrong. I don't want to see this match again. It wasn't that good at Mania the last time they had it. It was decent. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't good. It wasn't at the first match of the night. Yeah, there were awful botches throughout that entire match. It just wasn't a good match. It didn't hit anything for me. And if I remember correctly, it was the first match of the night that night. It wasn't a good opener, and it certainly won't be a good main event. I can just tell you. It wasn't that good.
It just doesn't need to happen again, I don't think.
It was all right. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I think her getting booed was great. I think her being a heel is needed.
Whoever wrote the promo and sent her out there to be a face.
Yeah.
What are you thinking? I will give Charlotte props. Once she got through what they had clearly written for her, she clearly scrapped when Rhea came out. She clearly scrapped whatever they had going on because she felt like she was kind of flying a little solo there. And it worked for me because I know we have all been on record as being a little tired of Rhea Ripley. It was one of the few times I've heard Rhea Ripley's music and I went, it's actually kind of good to see her right now. Even though, like, I don't want to see the match, I'm with Nathan.
What?
But for a minute there, I was like, "Oh yeah, okay if Rhea beats the shit out of her." This works for me.
If you want my honest opinion,
credit to Charlotte for being a good enough heel that I think that.
If you want my honest opinion, I know that they're doing this thing where all the Royal Rumble winners are showing up to each show. But if it was me booking it, Charlotte wouldn't have showed up on Monday Night Raw. She would have showed up on SmackDown, and Tiffy Time would have came out and said something to her. This segment, if I had to write it, doesn't happen. It was okay.
Feels a little gratuitous for Netflix because Becky Lynch didn't want to show up to Monday Night Raw.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think they did it. I think they did it on Raw because of the amount of eyes that would be on Raw.
It's Netflix,
of course.
SmackDown. So maybe she shows up on both, but totally understand. Hey, I think they need to kind of crumple the paper up, throw it in the trash can, and we need Charlotte to be a heel. I think that throws a wrench in some of the plans. because it would be. I don't know that you can have Charlotte the heel versus Tiffany Stratton the heel. So we've got to go back to the drawing board here. And I don't think Rhea Ripley's the answer. I still love it. I think maybe you just do the heel versus heel there, and I think maybe it turns out good. But
I think Tiffany is one of those. She's already getting cheered by the crowd. It's not going to be hard to have Charlotte come out there, get nuclear level heat on Friday Night SmackDown, and then Tiffany comes out to cheers. I think it's a very natural, like on Friday, it probably switches. You don't feel anything bad about it because everybody hates the Flares.
Yeah, good point. All right, jumping to the next segment, we have Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee versus the New Day. We've got the New Day coming out, cutting promos as they do. Spitting venom at the crowd. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think they have a new theme song. Maybe I've just missed that in the last couple of weeks.
Yes.
But it was dark. It was very not great. I don't think it was that great of a theme song. I feel bad.
It sounded like you were about to glaze it, bro.
No, man. We don't make great theme songs anymore these days. But it's part of the reason I like the Royal Rumble, because them having all of the oldies in there made it easier to know who was coming out. There were still a couple of times where I was like, who the hell is that?
It's so bad that when Finn Balor comes out, I don't know that. Like, it's so bad.
Because we watch weekly. Yeah, none of us knew.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, because I looked over at the guy next to me. I was like, isn't his song The Other Side? And I was like, oh, that's Judgment Day. But anyway. So we had this match between Rey Mysterio, Dragon Lee, and the New Day. So partway through the match, we have Logan Paul coming out to be a little bit of a disruption in the match. Ultimately, Logan Paul gets involved, deciding the winner by laying out Rey Mysterio, thus setting up their Elimination Chamber qualifying match next week in Nashville between Logan Paul and Rey Mysterio. How do we feel about the match? Do we feel good about Logan Paul and Rey Mysterio matching up for a qualifying match, and were we entertained? Was this worth the time on the air?
Match was good work for the minutes they had. It's clearly a setup.
It was there,
like
yeah.
Talked about, and I enjoy the setup. Logan and Ray will put on a good match in Nashville next week, so it hit where it needed to. Classic Raw segment that was like, thumbs up. Moving on.
Fun fact: we're going to that Raw, right, Will?
Yes, we are.
You weren't supposed to say that I was going.
That's crazy.
I don't want these guys to just think I go to every show.
Yeah, he's going too.
I promise after WrestleMania, I'm done for a little while. But
y'all are going, actually?
Yeah.
Y'all don't invite a motherfucker. It's crazy, bro.
You're going to drive 11 hours to go to Raw?
Yes.
Well, come on. I'll get you a ticket.
No. Fuck you guys. You didn't even invite me.
Good, because I wasn't going to get you a ticket.
Fuck you.
In the parking
it's
lot.
Crazy, man.
All right. Man. Hey, jumping over to Io Sky versus Liv Morgan in an Elimination Chamber. I can't talk today. Elimination Chamber qualifying match. Liv picks up the win when Rhea interferes, striking Liv and granting her the disqualification victory. Where do we feel the story's headed from here? I don't love that we've got Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan interacting again. I want these two to go far, far away from each other, lock them both up in a box, one in Canada and one in Timbuktu, and never let them talk to each other. But either way,
man,
this
as far as disqualification stuff goes, this is how you do a disqualification. It was very surprising. Did it catch you guys off guard completely? Because it caught me off guard. I was like, damn, I actually kind of cared about the match now. It was a good match overall. I mean, from what I saw, Io, of course, puts on, she's just a great wrestler all in all. Liv, of course, is still great. Raquel, is that how you say her name? She did her job on the sideline. We had some, it was just a good match overall. I think I am opposed to seeing Liv and Rhea do it one more time. I can't fathom.
Liv's in the chamber, right? So she wins. She gets up. And let's be honest, here's the scary part, right? I'm about to scare you guys. We know almost for sure Charlotte's going to pick Tiffany Stratton. Of the women that are going into this Elimination Chamber, don't spoil your thoughts here, but do we think that there's a favorite other than Liv Morgan? Hopefully so.
Io Sky was the only other one.
I've got two.
In my mind,
Bianca.
I'm a little scared that
Maybe three.
I'm a little scared that Liv Morgan can win
Bliss.
that. I hope she doesn't. But either way, she's headed towards Elimination Chamber, and there is a possibility that we see Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan at WrestleMania 41.
I just want to say, one, this match is way too good of a pairing to be an Elimination Chamber qualifying match for the first. Two, beyond the fact that I love these two together, good match. I hate the rest of it. I want Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley to go as far away from each other as humanly possible. I want Rhea to go to Japan, and I want Liv to go to New York City and never meet each other again. This is awful. Who wants to see this again? We've done this like 4 times this year.
True.
Ain't nobody want to see this shit.
I have personally seen them wrestle more than twice.
Agreed. Yeah.
In person.
Me too.
I'm sick of it. All right. Yeah, I agreed there. I think we're all on the same page. As long as this doesn't lead to a WrestleMania match between Rhea and Liv, we're happy with it. It was a good match. And I would agree with you there, Nathan. Hey, the disqualification did come as a surprise.
It was a good disqualification, but it's just the people. The people ruin it.
It keeps Io strong. It doesn't.
I think she's going to pop back up.
I feel so bad for Io because I think she deserves a spot in the chamber.
Yeah, I think she's out of it, personally.
Don't really.
I think you can have a last chance.
Adam Pearce will probably do something. Yeah.
She's too good to be left out.
Agreed.
Then we jump to the final segment of the night, fellas. Seth Rollins comes down to the ring, and this is something that I'm actually kind of fond of in the Triple H era, where we'll have someone come out, cut a promo, and that leads directly into the final match. So we have Seth Rollins come down to the ring, cuts a promo about the Royal Rumble and how he's glad to have injured Roman Reigns. We've heard earlier in the night that Roman Reigns will be out of action for the foreseeable future. He calls Sami Zayn down to the ring and gives him a hype speech right before his Elimination Chamber qualifying match with CM Punk. We then see Seth Rollins walking back up the ramp, and we get this moment where Seth and CM Punk are passing each other, and there's a bit of a scrap. And we didn't touch on it on our Royal Rumble part of the podcast today, but there was a moment during that Royal Rumble where Roman, Seth, and CM Punk were all thrown out of the ring at the same time, and we had a brawl on the outside of that ring where Roman was injured pretty badly. And it almost seems like they're setting up for what could be a triple threat match for WrestleMania 41. So good little brawl there between CM Punk and Seth Rollins. It was maybe no more than a slap, but just to keep that tension going. And then we get CM Punk versus Sami Zayn, which is a high-quality match. These are two technically sound wrestlers, a really great main event for a Monday Night Raw. Again, rare to see CM Punk wrestling on a Monday Night Raw, but still makes me smile a bit to see that we've got some of the big stars still willing to put on the knee pads and go to work on Monday. So, again, ultimately, Punk comes out on top. It was a great match, several close calls. It almost seemed like Sammy had a chance, even though I think we all know he didn't. And Punk comes out on top, and he joins now as the second official entrant of the 2025 Men's Elimination Chamber match. What are our thoughts on this particular match between Sammy and CM Punk? The promo by Seth before it, and then also how do we feel about this setting up our chamber match? Do we think that we're headed in a good direction to deliver a solid PLE?
Oh, yeah. This match was fantastic in every manner. Sammy put on a great show. Punk he's just the best wrestler you could fucking ask for. That dude still got it, even though he is old as shit. And it's crazy.
I don't think he's that old.
Dude, he's like, what, 40 something? I don't know. He still got it, dude. That dude wrestles like he's still 20.
Guess his age.
42. Is it 42?
42. Now you're undercutting him. You think he's just out of his 30s?
42? Yeah.
He's 46.
Go!
46. So
Yeah,
you think
he's up there.
42 is old as shit? I'm
Yeah,
like,
he's up there.
from that.
That's up there. I mean, I'm sorry. Jey Uso's like what? He's 40. Jey Uso's 40.
Is it?
Yes.
I don't want to get into wrestling.
LA Knight is also 40-something years old. There's a lot of old wrestlers. But
good promo by Rollins, good interaction with Punk. He got me believing Sami Zayn for a minute, but also he got me to not think about the fact that I was really irritated with the second match in a row where I'm like, why are these two fighting each other for a chamber spot? They both should be in this chamber, and I'm already irritated from the Io Sky Liv Morgan finish. And credit to Seth, he makes me forget about it for a minute. And credit to Punk and Zayn, they put on a great match. And what we left out was my favorite part. Look who comes back to save a show. Kevin Owens.
Oh,
that is a good point.
He saved this, having the ability to know what happens at the end. Great segment knowing Kevin Owens comes out, does the pile driver on Sami Zayn, and I'm like, okay, I like this. This was fun. This was a fun ending to Raw.
Agreed. And hey, kudos to Kevin Owens, because Kevin Owens looked like he had the shit.
He looked like hell.
His eye was black, his whole head was swollen, and he dragged his tail end out of bed to come out there and do a package pile driver to Sami Zayn. Makes you have a little less love for folks like The Rock who won't show up to lift an eyebrow. But either way, I'm sorry, I'm taking shots at my guy because he didn't show up at Royal Rumble for me. So, either way, yeah, I would agree with you. I think that was a really great way to set up a Sami Zayn and a Kevin Owens match. I'm going to tell you what, after Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes at Royal Rumble, I'm way more excited for this match because if they put a stipulation on this thing,
it's going to be fun.
It's
crazy.
Good match.
It's going to be
If they put
great.
anything close to what KO and Cody put on at Royal Rumble, it's going to be special. So, especially with the history that these two guys have together, I would agree with you. You're right. That was the best part.
And before I shut up, how is the chamber setting up? Here's my worry now for the rest of the thing. We have to. I know we were talking about ages here. Ages is a problem when you're inside of this horrific-looking steel structure that is the Elimination Chamber. And if you put too many 40-some-odd-year-olds in there, I worry how the match is going to be. And that makes me feel kind of bad for next week.
Yeah, somebody's going to get hurt.
Because it makes me feel bad for the Raw, like us at the Raw crowd next week, because I know we're probably going to have to get the young guy in. Yeah. We have too many old guys right now. As much as I love Rey Mysterio, and as much as he looks like he can go, I think you need the young blood who can fly around.
I'm going to cut you off here real quick because I will take no Logan Paul slander on here. That man has not managed to have a single bad match since he joined the WWE. And I realize that he's not on TV every week and that
it won't be bad. It'll just be predictable.
But I will tell you this: Logan Paul elevates every match that he's in, and I think we need some youngsters in there because, to your point, we can't have a bunch of we can't have the old people's home in the
John's not flying, and
we're not going to have a WrestleMania. All these guys are going to be in the infirmary. So yeah, I think ultimately we're going to need a Logan Paul, and I think it's awesome. Who doesn't want to see Logan interact?
Yeah,
with
it would be fun.
Or interact with John Cena, and I think that does shape it up. If I'm shaping it in my mind, and I see Logan, CM Punk, John Cena, I'm already excited for this match. You don't have to tell me the other participants, right? So
put Jacob Fatu in there. Put Jacob Fatu in the Elimination Chamber match, and it'll be the best Elimination Chamber match.
Are you trying to cut John Cena's retirement short? Jesus, man.
No.
He won't make it to freaking March.
No, man.
Through March, anyway. Okay. Yeah. Ultimately, I think overall it was a good Raw. We furthered some storylines. We're setting up for what I consider to be a pretty solid chamber match, and hopefully we can continue the momentum, right? We're on the road, the technical road to WrestleMania now. I'm looking for some fireworks over the next couple of weeks and at the Elimination Chamber. I want them to really ramp it up. Let's do some special things and put people in position to draw money to this WrestleMania. Because I'm telling you right now, I check the tickets to this WrestleMania every day just because I'm curious.
Because he sends me the text every day.
I'm trying to get him to go to WrestleMania. He won't go, just like he won't get a haircut. But anyway, the tickets are so expensive. If we're going to sell all these tickets, we're going to have some stuff people want to see. So, and they need to start talking about those things now. But that's just how I feel. Hopping over, I wanted to take a small segment to end the podcast and talk a little bit about Elimination Chamber that we have coming up on March 1st. It's going to be in Toronto. We know Toronto is always a really, really great crowd, an exciting crowd that can bring some energy and excitement.
This crowd's going to be hot.
It's going to be hot. There's going to be some excitement. We've got
These
big
people
stars
love
already
wrestling.
named. So first off, just kind of want to go around the group real quick. Describe what your predictions for the men's and women's Elimination Chamber entrants are and who you think will be the match winners. We'll toss it to you first, Nathan.
Okay. Let's see. So there's six people in our, yeah, there's 6 people. Okay. So in my men's, of course, I'm going to have Logan, John, of course, Punk, Jacob Fatu is going to be in there somewhere. I don't know who you would make the other ones. Of course, I wish Sammy was in it, but that's not, I guess, not an option now. I mean, who you probably put Braun Strowman somewhere in there too. I mean, it's pretty rough, but I would imagine that's a viable option. Yeah. You would put what's that? So that's 5. Man, I don't know who else you give that to. Maybe you put Seth. That's not bad. You could probably put a mid-carder somewhere in there. LA Knight. Never mind. Put LA Knight in there.
And I'll tell you this, guys. You don't have to list all 6. Just any that come to your mind that you think are definitely going to be in there. Probably should have said that. What about the women's, Nathan? Anybody you think are in there?
Well, I didn't say who I thought would win the men's. John Cena is definitely going to win this. Oh yeah. And if it's not John Cena, I want Jacob Fatu to win. But that's not. Yeah, it's not going to happen. But that's if.
So just so you understand the gravity of your prediction, we know Jay's more than likely going to pick Gunther. That would mean that we're locking in John Cena versus Cody Rhodes for WrestleMania 41.
Yep.
All right,
and I'm okay with that. That's going to be a fantastic match.
Yeah, I agree.
For the women's, of course, we're gonna have Liv. We're going to have Alexa Bliss. Probably gonna throw in one of the Damage. Bailey's probably gonna be in it. What's her name? Asuka probably in it. Bianca. They got a lot of people that they can play around with in that chamber match. And as far as someone who walks away from it, the only person, yeah,
I don't even think she's wrestling right now, is she?
Is she
rumored to be coming back?
She's probably.
All right, so you're predicting that Asuka comes back and joins the chamber?
I'm just saying that that's someone that they could throw in the chamber. I don't necessarily know, but as far as someone winning the women's, I don't know if you give it to Liv, but she would probably be my first option just because why not? But if you really want to get in there, Bianca probably should win that. Bianca works her ass off, and I think she deserves a little bit.
Yeah. Well, what's your take? Start with your men's and your women's and tell us your winners.
The men, of course, you have Cena and Punk. I'm going to go ahead and agree with Nathan on Logan Paul. Then I think you have to put Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins in there, given that CM Punk's in there.
That's true. Damn, I didn't put Roman in there.
You got to put Roman and Seth in the chamber. That leaves me with one more slot. I'm going to give it to Solo Sikoa, just to throw in a wrench.
Oh man,
I think John Cena has to win this.
Rock bottoms Roman through the cell.
I think not Roman. I feel like John has to win this, given his promo after the Rumble and everything. it just sets up. But he's going to go through it in this match. The women this is a much harder conversation and interesting to have because we're pretty sure this is going to be for Rhea Ripley's title, and Rhea's a face. So even though I agree, Alexa Bliss is going to be in it. Liv Morgan's probably going to be in it. Liv Morgan is in it. Alexa Bliss probably going to be in it. Bayley's probably going to be in it. Nia Jax probably going to be in it. Becky Lynch is probably going to be in it. But here's the problem. Alexa is not going to get booed, no matter how hard she tries. Becky, if she comes back, is not going to get booed, no matter how hard she tries.
I have a really terrible feeling that Nia Jax now that you said Nia Jax.
This is the problem here. The only heel that makes sense right now to win this match
is Nia Jax. God dang it!
Return my ticket.
Why did you say that?
I will refund that ticket.
Nia Jax versus Rhea
Ripley. I don't want it. I'll be the first to tell you I don't want it. I want any of the other girls to just run face versus face. But if
Alex, you might have to return them tickets, Big Dodge.
If I know Triple H,
you might have to return them tickets.
This might very well be Nia Jax versus Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania.
Oh shit, bro!
Yeah, that's an awful
that's
prediction.
God awful, but that is the most realistic take.
It hurts. It hurts me.
I'm gonna say for the men's, we've obviously got CM Punk, we've got John Cena, and we've got Logan Paul. I'm gonna opt Roman Reigns out of this one. I think they made it a point to say that he was injured for the foreseeable future.
It's possible.
Given his track record, I don't think he's coming back for Elimination Chamber. I don't see Roman being willing to go take those bumps a couple of weeks out from WrestleMania. And ultimately, I think we're going to have Damian Priest. I think he'll be in there. Then we'll have Jacob Fatu and Braun Strowman. I think you've got a good story with Braun Strowman and Jacob Fatu. Damian Priest, they're trying to keep him high on the card. So getting him in there to rub elbows with CM Punk, John Cena, and Logan Paul even tells a pretty good story. But I would say this, even if you wanted to switch one out, and I'll even offer an alternate here. If we don't do Damian Priest, maybe do AJ Styles. I think AJ Styles, excited to see him come back in the Rumble. I think we didn't mention that. Shame on us. We thought he was going to be injured for over a year, but now that he's back, we've got some possibilities here. He's got history with a lot of those folks in that ring. So maybe we see AJ Styles there. As far as the winner goes, I'm gonna have to agree. I gotta say they have to pick John because John is going to be at this WrestleMania. He's going to have a match. He's advertised this is his last WrestleMania. I don't see anywhere else where he fits in if he doesn't win. So in a way, it almost sorry for the folks going to Elimination Chamber. And sorry for us watching, but it's telegraphed.
I bet that I can name a spot that happens in the Men's Royal Rumble or in the Elimination Chamber.
Go for it.
John Cena, AA's Logan Paul off of one of the pods.
Oh, you know that's gonna.
Oh, it's gonna happen.
Are you predicting something, or are you playing 2K?
Dude, that's what I'm doing. It's gonna happen. Watch, and it's going to be Logan Paul because he's probably the only person in that match that can take that bump.
But fix the women's match because I just logicked Nathan into agreeing with me. So fix this women's match for me.
Yeah, the women's match. We've obviously, I think Bayley's definitely going to be in it. We've got Liv Morgan. We've got Alexa Bliss. We've definitely got Nia Jax. Unfortunately, I would say that
she wins
that shit. We're going to see Raquel in there. I think Raquel comes in actually. Tells a good story as an assist for Liv Morgan. And then finally, the last one's a tough one to call. I would hope that it would be Becky Lynch. And I'll tell you, Becky Lynch has to fit in somewhere for WrestleMania. I'm almost certain she will. And I think the winner is going to be Alexa Bliss. I think it has to be. She's the only one that's carrying the crowd enough right now to go into that match at WrestleMania with Rhea Ripley. And I don't know how you do it. Do you turn Rhea Ripley heel? Rhea can be a heel. She's actually, I think, a better heel than a face.
She's a face, though.
You have to make that move quick. And I think this aligns with a few things we're doing. I think we might be turning Cody pseudo heel here, or maybe, so we've got a couple of people that are on the verge. Maybe we make a quick switch here, switch Rhea to heel. We get Alexa Bliss versus Rhea Ripley, which is a story. Correct me if I'm wrong. Have we seen this one before? Has it been a big match? No. So it's new. It gives them both something new to play with, new interactions. And I think it would be a pretty good match, right? Rhea Ripley's kind of big, strong, powerful, can toss you around, and Alexa Bliss is tiny but crafty. I think that would actually translate to some good ring chemistry for the two.
Alexa has proved that she can work with that type.
My vote's going to be for Alexa.
I hope yours is right, but realistically, I think Nia Jax literally dominates like Brock Lesnar in that Elimination Chamber.
I mean, given that we've got Alexa, I want Alexa to win. I think she has the more compelling story. I think like you say, it's an easy switch.
Yeah.
But they just signed her on Saturday, which means she wasn't in the WrestleMania plans until Saturday. It's hard for me to see them switching, like, probably the Nia Jax plan for, a character. We don't even know what character Alexa Bliss is right now.
The only thing that makes me think that Nia's not going to be there is she just got done with a pretty lengthy title reign. And the fans know we're a little sick of seeing her with the strap, and I think it lends too much doubt to her ability to win at WrestleMania. Because I want you to really think about this. If you look at the card and you see Rhea Ripley versus Nia Jax, how confident are you that Nia Jax is going to come away with the belt?
I don't think anybody's beating Rhea Ripley.
No, I think Alexa Bliss will.
You might be sick of it.
Alexa might be believable. That's it on the card.
Somebody has to take the belt off of Rhea Ripley, and if you don't, use Alexa Bliss's new, I don't want to say newfound, but she's got some momentum behind her after coming back. If you don't use that, now who takes the belt off of Rhea Ripley? Then we either have to do a Becky or a Charlotte rematch or something of that nature. And I just think it doesn't serve a story, and it doesn't serve Rhea or anyone else involved.
So, I'll say this. I know she's not having the best run right now in the company that we shall not name. I would really love to have Sasha Banks right about now.
She can keep her ass in AEW.
But take away the AEW off of her for a second. This would be perfect. She would be perfect for this moment.
She dropped the belt and walked out. And I'm gonna tell you this. I don't know the full context. There might be more to that.
We don't know.
But she's had opportunities to come back since he who shall not be named, Vince McMahon, left the company. She's had opportunities to come back. She chose not to, which tells me that her problem was not just with Vince McMahon, but it was with reasonable people, which is a concern. But hey, want to jump to the next segment real quick, guys. We saw that post Royal Rumble conference where John Cena made his intentions clear for the Elimination Chamber. What are your predictions? Obviously, we've all predicted him to win the Elimination Chamber, but how do you see it going down? And then as he moves towards WrestleMania 41, do we feel that he's going to walk away with that elusive 17th world title?
Yes, and yes.
If you're going to move the title, if you're going to move the title, and if you're going to do any kind of pseudo heel for Cody, there's probably only one man in the business you could get people to cheer against Cody Rhodes, and that's John Cena.
John Cena.
If you're going to do this, and it looks like Cody wants to do it, I mean, like we even talked about that shot. That's not a face you're looking up at, staring at the dude he just clobbered. Like, it seems to me like they're kind of hinting at it, and if anybody's going to get the cheers, I feel like it's too perfect.
Agreed.
Okay. Yeah. I would say John has to win the Elimination Chamber, as we talked about before. His showing in this Elimination Chamber is going to be important. If they do it the way they did at the Royal Rumble, make him look strong, let him have some good spots, but I want that win to be hard fought, right? He's the only person in this Elimination Chamber that was automatically granted a spot in the match. I think that already plants a little bit of a stigma of, hey, he's getting some special treatment. he can't win this match easily.
That could have been early, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, he's earned the spot, and I think we all would agree with that. But I'd say, as we head towards WrestleMania 41, I see him in a match with Cody Rhodes. That's a great match. It's two of the faces that run the place, right? They both have had a very similar role in the company, and I think there's a great story to tell there. And I'll tell you guys just a funny anecdote. It's not really funny. It's actually kind of heartwarming. I was watching Cody Rhodes and KO at the Royal Rumble, and there was a kid in front of me, and he had Cody Rhodes jacket on, Cody Rhodes hat, and all these things. He was decked to the nines. And this kid, he loved Cody Rhodes. He was standing on his seat, jumping up and down. I was grateful he was sitting in front of me because he's about this tall, so he could jump, and I still could see perfectly. But man, he was so excited when that match ended. He looked over at his dad, just grinning ear to ear, and I leaned down and I said, "Hey, I think you should be proud. I think you just witnessed Cody Rhodes' best match ever in person." And he's smiling ear to ear. Anyway, the Rumble goes on. We get to the Royal Rumble match, and Cena's kicking ass in there, and I'm jumping on my fucking seat up and down. And the kid's looking back at me like I got a third eye. He's like, "What the hell's going on with this guy?" And I leaned down and looked at him, and I said, "You see that guy in the ring?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I go, "That's my Cody Rhodes." Right? And he just looked at me and it clicked.
This shit made me want to cry.
But truthfully, that is the match in the story that you have the opportunity to tell at WrestleMania 41, right? We've got almost a clash of the icons.
There we go.
That's exactly. Did I get you to tear up there, Will?
He did.
No.
Did I get you? I think I got you, buddy.
Not yet.
That's the Fandango theme song.
He got glassy eyed real quick, bro.
Not yet.
All right.
It's gonna hurt when we do the post-Mania show.
Hey,
I will be crying.
It's okay. It's okay. I was tearing up when I said it to him.
I'll be crying on the post-Mania show. I will.
That is a true story. And so I tell that story just to say, hey, what a unique opportunity to tell the story of two generations heroes going up against each other. So excited to see where John lands. Hopefully he does land. I think if there's anybody that takes his belt off of Cody Rhodes, John getting it to be number 17 is a big one, and somewhere that somewhere the story should go, right? Hopping on over to our final topic here, I wanted to cover, hey, we have 2 elimination chambers for this PLE, but we've not, to my knowledge, had any other matches announced. So what other matches would you guys put on this PLE to kind of round it out so that we have a full fun event for the crowd?
It's a great question. I mean, you're putting all the major people in the chamber, of course. So it's kind of hard to flesh it out with matches that are going to be even 4-star matches. I don't know what you do here.
Demanding something, so I assume he will be there.
Yeah,
I assume the Intercontinental title will be on there. The U.S. title feels lost. I don't think it gets on it, but it might. The women's U.S. title, I think, probably makes it on this card, and the women's Intercontinental title, I think, both make it on this.
All right, I like it. I'm going to go on a limb here.
I would normally predict a tag match, but I think they're going to have cold feet now.
I think we see Braun Strowman and Jacob Fatu run it back, but this time I think it's either tables, ladders, and chairs, or street fight, or something that really puts it over the top. It was a decent match before, but I think it'll be better with a stipulation where these two can climb out of the ring, grab some weapons, really turn it up to 10. And I think that kind of goes with the theme of Elimination Chamber. Hey, this gritty, brutal match that is difficult to survive. Well, we've got some other matches on this card that are brutal too. As far as the women's match that's going to be on this card, I think there's going to be a world title match. And I think it's going to be Rhea Ripley. The reason I say that is Rhea Ripley needs to defend the title against somebody headed into WrestleMania, albeit it'll be a bit predictable. but I think it's less predictable than us seeing Tiffany Stratton defend and trying to believe that she could drop the belt before
She's
WrestleMania.
not going to.
Nobody knows. Nobody thinks that's going to happen. So maybe it's Rhea Ripley versus. I'm trying to think of all the women that aren't in the Elimination Chamber, but let's give somebody else a shot. Maybe we get. Heck, I don't know. Bianca Belair, somebody of that nature, to come in and put on a great match. Even though I think Bianca Belair would be a good one, because Bianca actually would cast some doubt there, and I think it would be a good opportunity to do what? Now we could have Jade Cargill come back, cost her the match, and now we're setting up WrestleMania 41, Bianca versus Jade, which is a strong possibility for them.
To fix this little conundrum, I don't know how close Kairi Sane or Asuka are, but they could totally work in this slot.
Yeah,
totally.
They could. That's true. I'm just thinking from terms of, do you want this match to be believed? Like, is there a credible threat to the crown?
Asuka's probably a credible. I mean, she's done this before. I think nobody's truly all that credible. So, I mean, Asuka's probably close enough for me, especially on a return match. Like, she's done it before.
What else? Any other predictions for Elimination Chamber?
I got nothing this early. They might do a tag, but I think they're going to get scared.
Oh my God. Hold on. Wait, we're completely missing the point. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn.
I don't think that's
WrestleMania, buddy.
No, man. I think that happens at Chamber.
Buddy.
If you want to have that brutal match.
I didn't ignore that.
We got 2 nights of WrestleMania to fill, and there's way too much story. I see what you're saying, and if WrestleMania was
that
on the other
could be a
side,
match.
I would agree with you.
Yeah.
But hey,
if
guys,
it's a match, it's scrapped. It's going to be scrapped, and it's not going to last but 2 minutes.
Yeah. Hey, guys, look, just want to thank you guys for taking an hour or two hanging out with us. We're just your average Joes, big wrestling fans. We love to talk about it, argue. We agree and disagree on many topics, but one thing we do agree on is wrestling is fun. We love wrestling. We're more excited about WrestleMania 41 than we put off. There's lots of great storylines. We're excited to see where it goes, and we'll continue to cover it. We've got some great discussions that are going to be taking place headed to Elimination Chamber and then all the way up to WrestleMania 41. We love you. We appreciate you. And thank you for joining us. And that's the bottom line, because we said so.
Yee.